So what if I told you that being a human being is actually, infinitely harder than being a pig or a dog?
I mean, I think a lot of people might actually agree with that on a Monday morning.
Right. But what if I told you that being a human is even harder than being a wandering ghost? Today, we are looking at a text that makes exactly that claim, and it really does not hold back on why.
It really doesn't. We're so used to placing human consciousness at the very top of the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Like viewing our intellect as this ultimate asset.
Yeah, the crown jewel of evolution.
Exactly. But this text just strips away that vanity immediately. It forces the reader to look at the sheer agonizing weight of human existence.
And the author lays it out piece by piece. Begging for help, that's tough. Trying to earn money, extremely hard.
Oh, yeah.
Becoming famous, getting married, establishing a family, and then actually providing for that family. It frames all of these standard life milestones as these immense, almost unbearable struggles.
Right? It paints human life as something fundamentally plagued by trouble. From the moment we're born, through sickness and aging, right up to our death.
It's pretty bleak.
It is, but it's also a profound acknowledgement of the modern condition, even though it echoes very ancient ascetic philosophies.
Right, because the lower you go on the consciousness ladder, the text argues, the easier existence becomes.
Exactly. A dog or a pig isn't burdened by existential dread or, a 30-year mortgage or the pressure to leave a legacy. They are just existing.
But the author isn't suggesting that we should devolve into animals to escape the grind, right? Instead, we are presented with this radical, almost comedic alternative.
Which is just wild to think about.
It is. Rather than racking your brain and toiling away in this human struggle,
Hmm.
the author proposes that you just turn around and become a celestial being.
Just turn around as if it's that simple.
Right. And the absolute kicker here is that the text claims this is the easiest path of all. Easier than being a human.
Oh, absolutely.
Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is to explore a short, fascinating text from 2023 by Suofeng, edited by Qin Yu. It's titled The Eightfold Path to Celestial Being: How Easy It Is to Cultivate into a Celestial Being.
The premise itself really challenges everything we are taught about spiritual cultivation.
Yeah, how so?
Well, we're conditioned to believe that reaching an enlightened or celestial state requires, like, decades of grueling meditation, or isolation in a cave, or these complex, exhausting rituals.
Right, it's always framed as the ultimate uphill climb.
Exactly. But this text promises that if you can adopt 8 specific behaviors, 8 points of practice, you will experience the taste of a celestial existence right now.
Wow.
It reframes transcendence not as an accumulation of spiritual merit, but as a ruthless shedding of earthly weight.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if becoming a celestial being is supposedly so easy, we need to look at exactly what these 8 points are asking us to do.
And it is a lot of subtraction.
Yes, to even begin this process, the text demands an aggressive subtraction of the physical world. We have to look at what we're being told to strip away from our daily lives.
The initial phase of this eightfold path is intensely grounded in our physical reality. It just completely dismantles the standard markers of adulthood, security, and success that society demands we chase.
It's the ultimate material opt-out. The text explicitly instructs you not to get married, not to start a family, not to buy a house, and not to acquire possessions.
Just reading that list gives you a sense of vertigo.
Totally. You are supposed to eat simple meals just to nourish your body and sleep under a thatched hut until dawn.
And it goes even further than that.
Right. Mandating that you do not borrow money, you do not owe debts, you do not desire extravagance, and you certainly do not hoard wealth.
What's fascinating here is the psychological mechanism at play. The text is isolating the exact root systems of human anxiety.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Think about the mental bandwidth consumed by ownership. When you buy a house, you instantly inherit the fear of losing it to foreclosure or a disaster.
Yeah, the anxiety comes with the keys.
Exactly. When you hoard wealth, you have to build walls and spend energy protecting it. When you borrow money, your future labor is basically held hostage. You become a servant to the debt.
So by entirely opting out of this economic and domestic structure, the author argues that you're cutting the puppet strings, the ones that make you dance to society's frantic, exhausting tune.
That's spot on.
I read this and immediately pictured it as the ultimate form of quiet quitting the board game of Monopoly.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Imagine you're sitting at the table. Everyone around you is sweating, stressing out, trying to buy boardwalk, building hotels, mortgaging their railroads to pay rent.
Going bankrupt, crying over the dice.
Exactly. And you just sit back, look at the board, and say, you know what? I'm not even going to roll.
You just opt out.
Yeah, you say, I don't want any property. I don't want any of this paper money. I am just going to sit here and exist. You are still physically at the table, but you refuse to play the game.
The text actually supports that visual perfectly. It states that you must work diligently every day so you are still at the table securing enough food to eat.
Right. You're not just wasting away.
No, but you have completely divested from the emotional and financial stakes of the game. You are also instructed not to talk about family or country, and surprisingly, not even to talk about awakening or being a Buddha.
See, that part really threw me. A text about spiritual cultivation telling you not to talk about awakening.
I know it sounds counterintuitive,
Mhm.
but the author recognizes that spirituality can just become another form of monopoly.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, people hoard spiritual status the exact same way they hoard money. By forbidding talk of becoming a Buddha, the text prevents the ego from turning the celestial path into just another ambition.
So you're told to just be content if you have enough to eat, and to emulate the carefree nature of grass, regardless of wind, frost, rain, or snow.
Which is a beautiful image, really.
It is, but I have to push back on the author's definition of the word easy here. Refusing to play Monopoly is easy.
Fair enough.
But in real life, the text literally tells you to emulate grass and not care about frost, rain, or snow while you are sleeping in a thatched hut.
Yeah, that sounds a bit rough.
Right. Ignoring a blizzard while you are freezing in a flimsy hut does not sound easy to me. It sounds miserable. How is this the path of least resistance?
Well, that friction you're feeling is exactly the point. And it requires us to distinguish between physical comfort and mental ease.
Okay, go.
The ease this text promises is not about sinking into a plush velvet sofa in a climate-controlled room. It's about the profound mental relief of having absolutely nothing to lose.
So the physical discomfort is secondary.
Exactly. Yes, the physical sensation of cold is uncomfortable. But in this philosophical framework, the cold is fleeting. It is a purely physiological experience that passes.
Well, the mortgage is permanent, or at least it feels like it.
Precisely. The suffering of a 30-year mortgage, the gnawing fear of bankruptcy, the chronic stress of providing for a family that is a deep psychological torment that haunts you every hour of every day.
Okay, I see the difference now.
A blade of grass doesn't stress about the approaching winter. It simply gets snowed on, goes dormant, and waits for the sun. You're trading physical luxury for absolute psychological invulnerability.
Because you cannot be threatened if you desire nothing.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But shedding mortgages and debts is one thing. You can physically walk away from a bank, but human beings are inherently social creatures.
Oh, absolutely. We're wired for connection.
Right, so we don't just hoard money and houses. We hoard relationships, status, opinions, and moral high grounds.
And the text definitely recognizes this. It moves right from our physical burdens into our interpersonal ones. It basically demands a complete social detox.
And this transition from the material to the social is where the path becomes incredibly challenging for a modern reader.
It really strikes at the core of how we navigate our daily interactions and our sense of self-worth within a community.
The instructions are brutal for anyone who uses social media or works in a corporate environment. No flattering, no currying favor, no seeking connections or pursuing relations.
None of it.
You're only supposed to form bonds with like-minded individuals who are also on this celestial path. No wearing gold or silver, no craving vanity, no pursuing fame.
Just a bamboo fence.
Yeah, a bamboo fence and a thatched cottage provide delightful scenery, and a leisurely mind with nothing to worry about is the only priority.
It demands a total rejection of the social hierarchy. Every interaction we have in the secular world is laced with some exchange of power or status.
Oh, definitely. We network to get ahead, we dress a certain way to signal our value, we flatter to avoid conflict.
And stripping all of that away leaves you socially naked, which is terrifying for the human ego, but incredibly liberating for the celestial aspirant.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the text goes beyond just ignoring status. It explicitly says, do not talk about oneself or others.
Which eliminates about 90% of human conversation.
Truly. Do not discuss right or wrong or distinguish between good and evil. It claims the divine net is all-encompassing, and instead you should just discuss mulberry and hemp over tea.
Mulberry and hemp. Just the basics.
When I read that, I pictured someone completely retreating from the modern outrage cycle. Imagine being exhausted from years of political doom scrolling.
Oh, I think we can all imagine that pretty easily.
Right. arguing on the internet about what is right and what is wrong, getting furious at the daily news, and one day you just delete every account, move behind a bamboo fence, and decide, I am only going to talk to my neighbor about my tomato plants.
That is exactly what discussing mulberry and hemp means. It represents the immediate, mundane, tangible reality of the present moment.
It's just a total refusal to be pulled into abstract ideological warfare.
Ex-
But I have to ask the difficult question here. How can a person just ignore right and wrong? How do you refuse to distinguish between good and evil?
It's a huge stumbling block for a lot of people.
If someone is doing something demonstrably terrible and everyone just sits around drinking tea, talking about gardening, doesn't society just collapse? Isn't there a fundamental moral obligation to call out evil when we see it?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of the text, we have to remember the ultimate goal, which is becoming a celestial being.
Right, not fixing the world.
Exactly. This text is not a manual for building a functional, secular human society. It's a manual for leaving that society behind.
Oh, okay.
When the author says the divine net is all-encompassing, they are invoking a profound concept of cosmic justice.
Meaning the universe acts as its own law enforcement.
Basically, yeah. The divine net implies that the universe has an infallible, inescapable accounting system. Every action generates an inevitable reaction.
Universal law or karma?
Right. It misses absolutely nothing. So the text is asking the practitioner to relinquish the incredibly heavy, arrogant burden of playing judge, jury, and executioner in the human realm.
Which is exhausting.
Think about how much of your daily energy is wasted trying to police the morality of others, absorbing the outrage of the day, and trying to force your view of right onto a chaotic world.
It is exhausting. It's the very definition of racking your brain in the human struggle.
And the celestial path tells you to just drop that burden. It is not your job to manage the universe's morality. The divine net will catch whatever needs to be caught.
So your only job is to maintain a leisurely mind.
Yes. By refusing to engage in the endless dialectic of right and wrong, you step completely out of the cycle of human conflict. You're no longer feeding the fire of societal outrage.
But if we aren't judging good and evil and we aren't policing morality, what happens when we genuinely know how to fix a situation?
All right.
Because the text addresses this specifically, and it presents this fascinating paradox about unsolicited wisdom and altruism.
This specific point often stops readers in their tracks because it directly challenges our fundamental definition of what it means to be a good person.
We equate goodness with proactive helpfulness.
We do.
But the text explicitly says, do not scheme for personal gain. That makes sense based on everything we've covered. But then it adds, do not scheme for public welfare.
Yeah, that's the shocker.
Do not discuss ideals or seek recognition. And then it delivers this absolute gut punch. Even if you possess profound knowledge of the world, even if you hold the wisdom of heaven and earth, do not offer help unless it is explicitly asked for.
It completely dismantles the archetype of the proactive savior. It tells you to keep your wisdom to yourself unless you're directly invited to share it.
I kept trying to wrap my head around the ethics of this. It feels like having the cheat codes to a brutally difficult video game.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You're sitting on the couch, watching your friend play. They keep dying to the same boss over and over again, getting more and more frustrated and angry.
We've all been there.
Right, you know exactly what buttons to press to win the game. But because of this rule, you just sit there silently drinking your tea because they haven't turned to you and specifically said, please tell me the code.
Yeah, you just watch them struggle.
Isn't withholding that profound knowledge inherently selfish?
Well, this raises an important question about the true nature of altruism versus the disguised nature of the ego.
Oh, interesting.
We often mask our own ego as a desperate desire to help others. When you jump in to save someone without them asking, are you genuinely serving their journey? Or are you serving your own need to feel useful, superior, and validated?
That is a very sharp distinction. The urge to fix the world, or even just to fix your friend's problem, is often just vanity wearing a different mask. We want the credit for being the savior.
According to this celestial framework, yes. If you're scheming for public welfare or publicly discussing grand ideals, you are still deeply entangled in the human drama.
You're still trying to direct the play and cast yourself as the hero.
Exactly. True celestial wisdom requires a profound, almost uncomfortable respect for the autonomy of others. If someone is struggling, that is their path. That is their lesson within the divine net.
So offering unasked for profound knowledge is an intrusion.
It disrupts their natural process of discovery or consequence.
You really have to trust the cosmic order over your own personal intellect.
By waiting to be asked, you ensure that your intervention is genuinely in service to the other person's readiness, rather than a projection of your own ego.
That's a high bar to clear.
It strips away the very last remnant of self-importance. Even your deepest, most profound wisdom is rendered neutral and quiet until the exact moment it's called upon by someone ready to receive it.
Man, so if you strip away the material hoarding, the social climbing, the moral judgment, and even the urge to save the world, what is actually left of your human experience?
That brings us to the final instruction in this text.
Right, because all of these acts of subtraction culminate in a radical shift in how we view existence itself.
The final point is really the psychological climax of the text. It describes the viewpoint you naturally achieve once all of the heavy baggage of the human struggle has been put down.
The text says, "Do not follow trends or conform to the masses. Bravely climb toward the celestial world. Recognize that life on Earth is just a fleeting moment."
A fleeting moment.
And the final instruction, the ultimate way to secure the celestial state, is simply to laugh heartily and forget everything.
Laugh heartily and forget everything. It is a stunning, jarring contrast to the very first paragraph of the text.
It really is. The author starts by validating the intense, agonizing tragedy of human life. Begging, sickness, aging, the desperate, sweaty struggle to survive and provide.
It feels so impossibly heavy at the start.
And then by the end, after walking you through this path of subtraction, it tells you to just laugh it off. So what does this all mean? How do we reconcile that heavy, painful reality with hearty laughter?
How did you read it?
Well, I think about it like going to see an incredibly intense, terrifying thriller at the movie theater.
Oh, that's a perfect way to put it.
While you are in the dark theater, staring at the screen, your heart is pounding. You are sweating. You are gripping the armrests so hard your knuckles are white. The struggle feels completely real, and you are 100% invested in the survival of the characters.
You're completely absorbed in the illusion.
Right. But then the credits roll. The house lights come up. You walk out of the theater lobby and step out into the bright, warm afternoon sunlight. And suddenly you look around and realize it was just a projection.
It wasn't real.
It was just light bouncing off a screen in a dark room. You can literally laugh at yourself for being so stressed out about something that wasn't ultimately real.
The taste of being a celestial being that Shuofeng is offering is exactly that sensation of stepping out into the sunlight.
That makes so much sense.
It isn't about acquiring magical powers. You aren't learning to fly or shoot lightning from your fingertips. The cultivation is entirely a shift in perspective.
It's an internal shift.
The profound ease comes from realizing you simply do not have to take the earthly play so seriously.
You realize you are just sitting in a theater.
When you truly internalize that 80, 90, or 100 years of human life is just a fleeting moment in the cosmic timescale, the desperation inevitably fades.
The mortgage, the political arguments on the internet, the desire for fame, the fear of aging, they are all just plot points in a movie that is inevitably going to end.
And the celestial being laughs heartily, not out of cruelty or mockery toward those who are still suffering in the theater, but out of a profound, liberated lightness.
They have achieved complete non-attachment.
The ease is simply the realization that the heavy boulder of human existence was an illusion all along.
So for you listening right now, what is the core value we can take away from this deep dive?
That's the big question.
Even if you aren't ready to sell all your possessions, cancel your internet service, and move into a bamboo-fenced cottage tomorrow, this text offers an incredibly powerful mental tool for navigating the modern world.
It really is a masterclass in the power of radical subtraction.
It's an open invitation to stop overcomplicating your life. You do not have to engage in forced networking just to feel valuable. You do not have to carry the exhausting burden of moral policing every single event you see on the news.
Let the divine net handle it.
Exactly. You do not have to tie your self-worth to material hoarding or even to how much unsolicited help you can force upon the world. Sometimes the most elevated celestial thing you can do is just tend to your own garden, mind your own business, and recognize the fleeting nature of it all.
It is a potent, liberating philosophy. But, it leaves us with something critical to mull over.
Oh, what's that?
If achieving this pure celestial state requires us to abandon our desire to fix the world, if it asks us to forget our human struggles, refuse to judge good from evil, and simply laugh off earthly life as a fleeting moment,
Yeah.
is the ultimate state of enlightenment actually just a profound cosmic indifference?
Wow.
And if everyone on Earth suddenly chose the easy path, dropped their struggles, and achieved this celestial apathy today, what would actually happen to humanity tomorrow?